Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I know it's one of the three, no matter where you are in the world. I am your host today, Mr. B. Brooks, and I'm with my partner in crime, Mr. Dalen Che, and we are Visionary Voices. And today we have a special guest, super special guest. She is the faculty advisor of Net Impact. Yes, the boss. Former faculty advisor of Enactus, and she's an alumni of SIFE. And let's not forget this one, the big one right here. A proud member of Zeta Phi Beta sorority.
Incorporated.
Yeah. Dr. Chastity Clemens. How we doing this morning?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm glad you're here. We've been waiting for this for this interview for a while, all right? Yeah. So we just go ahead and jump right into it, if that's all right with you.
Sounds good.
All right. So getting involved, your journey in education and community leadership. Can you share a little bit about yourself and how you got started in education and leadership?
So originally, I would say as a child, I really, besides playing school, with your sisters, I really wasn't focused on education per se. But then all of a sudden, I went into early childhood education and thought that working with children was the route to go. However, after becoming a preschool teacher for 2 years, I realized I didn't like kids. So with that being said, I grew up in a family. I'm the first American in my family. My family came over here after World War II. Unfortunately, there was a quota on how many Jews could enter the United States, so they had to go to Montreal, Canada, until they could get passage into the U.S. When they came to the U.S., they came with nothing, and they started 5 businesses. By the time I was 16 years old, we had 5 businesses. So I grew up in business, always around business. Didn't realize at the time what I was being taught, but I know that I didn't want to go into business because all we did was argue and fight about the business at the dinner table.
Right.
So I just knew I didn't want to do that. So that's the reason why I went into early childhood education, because I thought kids were cute. But again, being locked up in a classroom was a totally different experience. And then getting stationed here, I realized that I needed to kind of focus on business education. So that's what really got me into wanting to teach. I used to run a school in South Carolina, tuition private school. I was the preschool teacher there, but the director up and left unexpectedly. And I threw my name in the hat, and they picked me to be the director. What I didn't know is that they put the license and the registration in my name because I was supposed to be the fallout guy, right?
Oh.
Unfortunately, she did run the school into bankruptcy, almost bankruptcy, and had a lot of fines and violations. And so anyway, 8 years later, I not only saved them, but I brought them to a profitable status, had a wait list, bought them a bus, cash money. So then when we got stationed here, I started my own business online so that I could funnel income into my home so I can go back to school and get a business degree. From there, I joined, SIFE and had the opportunity to actually work with high schoolers and college students. And it was my mentor, Dr. John Frith, who saw something in me and molded me into being a professor.
And that's what drew you to Net Impact and SIFE?
So I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't drawn to SIFE at all.
Okay, get it. Kids are cute as long as you can send them back home, and you wasn't drawn to SIFE.
Yeah. When I got to college, I remember sitting in Professor Ledger's class, and a girl next to me, Denise, we're still talk to this day. She was like, "Oh, you got to join Students of Free Enterprise, known as SIFE. It's really great. We do a lot of things with business, and we do this, we do that." And I said, "Girl, I do not want to play business. I own a business. I ran a business for 8 years. I grew up in business. I'm not playing business with y'all." But what happened was, as part of my degree plan, was the internships, which the internship requires you to be in SIFE, now known as Net Impact. So for there, I had no choice but to join. But when I joined, I fell in love with the purpose. I fell in love with using education to impact my community, as well as impact myself.
So did these experiences shape the way you approach teaching, mentoring your students today?
It has part of it. There's a lot of different things that have shaped the way I teach. One is, as a college student, my experience. I had a professor in my master's degree program I will never forget who I panicked just like students panic. My exam closed on me. And yes, I waited to the last day to take it. It was on the weekend and it closed out on me. And I panicked because I don't know if you know, in a master's degree, you have A through C plus. Anything that's a C or C minus is an F.
Whoa.
Okay, there is no passing unless you get a C plus.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So it's very stressful. So I missed this exam, which would definitely have made me fail the course. And so I looked at my syllabus and I saw he had his cell phone number on there. So I called. Long story short, when he answered the phone, I told him who I was, and he started telling me about he was barbecuing and making blue cheese stuffed burgers and having a beer. And I'm thinking to myself, bruh, I just want to talk about my exam. Like, can you reopen it? But I didn't want to be rude. So he continued just to talk about the weather and everything. And then I'm sitting here like bawling my eyes out, like really scared I'm going to fail. And he goes, oh, and by the way, Miss Clemens, I've already reopened your exam. You're good to go. And something about the conversation and how he was just so approachable and just down to earth made me want to be a professor like that, right? So that's one part of it. And then, being underneath Dr. Frith, Dr. Frith took me under his wing and taught me everything I need to know and didn't even know I needed to know about being an educator. But mainly it's from why hold the knowledge that I've received, not only in school, but in life experiences. Why am I holding it when it could actually help others succeed?
All right, that makes sense. Dalen, have you ever had a blue cheeseburger?
Absolutely not.
Oh, man. Fire.
Absolutely not.
He said, absolutely.
Fire. I was dead.
But you did tell us a whole lot about Dr. Frith to the point where I know his story personally now, and I even tell people about it when I speak about the impact. And definitely it does show that a lot of what he did, you definitely incorporated because you put it on us as officers. So with the day-to-day life you're having, balancing not just serving the community, but helping students, being an educator, and then having to support an impact. She doesn't get paid, by the way, to do this, y'all.
Right.
It's straight out of her heart.
Right.
How do you go about it day-to-day? Because me as an officer, it gets stressful having to balance all of it. But I already know for you being a faculty advisor, it's probably 10 times more, if not 100. So how do you go about it day-to-day?
Yeah, it is stressful. I'm not going to lie to you, and it was a lot easier when I had an admin. But actually, if I have to do my to-do list and I have a planner, as long as I time manage, I mostly get things done. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if it doesn't get done, I don't stress myself out to the point where I crash. I just say, okay, let's just roll it over. Or I apologize to the person if I had to do something for them. I will say, look, I'm sorry. I got overwhelmed today. I take accountability. And then I just do it. I do what I'm supposed to do, but I might not get it done exactly when you want it done. My goal is to get it done when you want it done. But, everything happens from being a professor full-time here. I teach in the classroom. I teach online, overseeing Net Impact, where we have, I think, about 9 or 10 projects running at one time. I have 6 officers. And last time I checked, we had, after the six officers, we have 59 members. And they all have their own personal lives. They all look at me as a mentor. They all come to me with different topics besides just education. And then, I have a family. I have a husband and 3 kids. I have grandkids. I'm very active with my sorority, as we said earlier. So it's a lot, but I will tell you, I cannot function without my planner and my to-do list. If I leave it at home, I literally am calling my husband, like, take a picture of it because I don't know what I'm doing in the next 5 minutes. But that's how I handle my time management and my stress. It's just because sometimes I just stop and I have to regroup. There's times where I kind of feel myself spinning out of control, and I'm stopping. Usually I'll ask people just kind of leave me alone for a few minutes, and then I pull it together and I'm good to go.
Okay. Well, with you doing this for so long, what's the fulfilling part of it that's kept you here for so long?
It's the students and seeing you guys really take what I teach you and applying it. It's a reward there's no paycheck that could give me that reward. Seeing you guys learn here, fail here, because my favorite word in the impact is fail. Because I don't mind you failing. I believe that's when you learn the most. Now, when you continue to fail, I've got issues. But, if you fail and you learn from it. But what it is seeing you guys move on and utilize the information and the experience that and the things I taught you, and doing great things in your own communities and for your own family and achieving those dreams that you had. That's what makes it worth every day getting up, every day working to sometimes 1, 2 in the morning. I just remember, I'm reminded by all the successes of students. We always got to think about what is our why in life? Why do we do what we do? We only have a certain amount of time, and none of us know what that time limit is, right? So if you go to bed at night and you don't feel like you're satisfied of where you are in life, you got to figure out your why. You got to figure out why you're here and why you're doing what you're doing. And I'm gonna tell you, mine is net impact and being a professor.
All right.
Talking about your late nights, doing things for fulfilling us as students. I think it's time to talk about getting number one and up to us.
Oh yeah, that's the one right there.
A very big moment, because I remember it was me, you, Catalina, Shahid. We were all in a room that day in the Zoom call, and I know we were wrong for this, but I've never been so happy to see another school in second place before in my life, because I knew if it wasn't us, it was going to be a bad day. It was going to be a bad day, but to see that in second place, I knew it was going to be someone told me that we had got it, and it felt so good because, I wasn't up to us last year. We had got top 5, but I counted it as top 50 because I felt we could have did better. But for you seeing that win, how did it feel for you?
Oh, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I cried like a baby. I mean, when it got to 5, I was like, oh, God, please don't let us be 5 again. We've been 5 for the past, 3 years. And then when they announced another school, I'm like, oh, my gosh, we could be 4. And then they announced 4. I'm like, oh, my goodness, we could be 3. And I didn't want to hype myself up for first because I was afraid I would disappoint myself and be really upset. So I was just like, 3 is better than 5. So I was hyped. And then when they said 3, and then I'm like, oh, my goodness, we're in the first 2. And when they said that second one, I felt so bad because I jumped out of my seat. Now, put this in your mind, okay? I'm sitting at my desk on this, video camera. I've got headphones in. And I am so excited. I jump up screaming, and I go to run for the door because the students are in the next office, forgetting I had headphones. And I know anybody that was watching me saw my head get yanked back, and I had to peel them off. And I was in the hallway screaming like crazy. And then the students didn't come out. So I was like, oh, man, I feel bad because I felt like I just kind of dipped on the second place because I was clapping for everybody in the camera. So I ran back, sat down, and clapped. And then when they finally announced us, then we all kind of screamed and yelled. And it reminded me of 2009 when me and my team won first place. It is something you never forget. It is a feeling that you can't explain, especially because the hard work that we put in. I mean, we did over 60 classroom presentations. And the top winner last year, Notre Dame, did 19. So we tripled what they did.
What Notre Dame did?
Yeah. Because
Wow.
they won first place last year.
Wow.
And then we did, I want to say it was almost 18, and don't quote me on the number, but it's 17, 18, days of action. And we reached thousands of people. We were number 1 in collecting the pledges. When I tell you this team hustled, that is an understatement. They worked tiredly, just day, night on up to us. And they were hungry for that first place. We're the underdog. We're the community college.
Right.
People kind of, I hate to say this, even in my own realm of responsibility, not responsibility, but in my own realm of being a professor, when I meet other professors at 4-year schools, we're kind of looked down on, as, oh, you're a community college student. Oh, okay. And they don't take what we say seriously. So we're always the underdog. So for us to beat 74-year schools,
Wow.
that's phenomenal. That doesn't happen every day. So yes, it was very much a highlight in my career. It will be on my resume and my bio.
Right?
Well,
Right?
I mean, that's a shout out to you, though, because since the beginning, you even tell us you got to study the competition. You saw who beat us, and you did the research. You made sure that we were clear cut going to sweep them out the board. That's what we did. We swept them.
Yes.
Every category, it was above and beyond.
Nice
Yeah.
playbook,
That's 'cause-
coach.
Yeah. The only problem is we kind of set ourselves up because we set the bar so high. Now next year's team, what are they going to do to beat that? So I'm already in my brain brainstorming ideas of how to take it even higher so that we can maintain, that first place.
It's kind of like making that first album. Now you don't win platinum. Now you got to do it again. You got to beat that.
We
one.
want to be like the Bulls in the '90s. We
Oh,
want a 3-peat.
3P. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Man, but that is a memorable moment though. Very memorable. I'll put it on my resume too.
Yeah.
Like you
guys as
said,
students, you
it
stood
was
up.
an underdog moment.
Yeah.
No one
Definitely.
expected it. No
Nope.
one saw it coming.
Nope.
But at the end of the day, we had you as our faculty advisor compared to them. We had someone who really, really wanted it just as much as we did.
Yeah.
Saw what it could do for us. Knew it was going to put on our nameplate because we're already a prestigious organization. But having that on our plate has separated us from all the other organizations by a mile now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it was definitely it's a highlight of my career, and it's a highlight of my students' time here at Central Texas College. It's hard to put in words the feeling. I mean, you were there. If
I
you
was
work
all
so
over the
hard
place.
for something, you work so hard for something, you feel like you're the underdog, and you know we've been doing Up to Us since 2017. And we've placed top 20 in the beginning, which we were excited about. And then we went to top 10. And then for the past couple of years, we did top 5 or 5th place. And then to get number 1 it's a testimony to not only this year's team, but to the teams prior who built it up, took it up every year a notch to set you all up for success too.
Yes. But you know, aside from Up to Us and placing top 1, what's another memorable memory that you have?
So, funny thing is, a week later, we get an email that we are chapter of the year for Net Impact. Again, beating out 74-year schools and saying that we did the most. We did the best amongst all these Harvard, Yale, University of California, Berkeley, Notre Dame. I mean, I can keep naming. I'm not going to name all 74-year schools, but that was another highlight this year is not only winning number 1 in the nation for Up to Us, but now being the number 1 chapter and winning chapter of the year.
Swept them. Nothing but ones with this class.
All right.
So to the next class of officers who come in, good luck. Good luck. We didn't mean to be this great. We just had an advisor who was not playing with us.
Hey.
She was not playing.
Big shoes to fill.
We'll find the feet to fit them. We do every year.
Yes, I am.
All right. So let me ask you, community impact, the heart of your work. It's clear you're passionate about working with the community and how you see the role of education and fostering how do you see the role in fostering lasting community change? Because some people will do something and it'll hold there for a minute, but it don't actually stick to the wall.
Yeah. So I'm very passionate about impacting my community because nobody gets where they're at by themselves. Somebody helped you. And for me, somebody helped me get where I'm at today by teaching me the ropes, taking me under their wings. So I do more than just teach here at CTC. I mean, I teach at a 4-year as well, but that's, for a paycheck. For non-paycheck, I do a lot of teaching with youth. I used to be a youth advisor for high school girls, teaching them proper ways of being a finer woman. I taught them things about credit, about resumes, life skills. And then I also work and do free workshops for like the chambers for small businesses. I've got one coming up with the Coppers Cove Chamber next month where I'm teaching them about digital marketing. I've worked with the Temple semi-pro football team and taught with them. I go into the schools. So anybody in the community that I see a need that needs education, I'm going to jump on it because I believe education is power. It is the key to power. If you don't have the education, you're not going to have the ability. I'm not saying it has to be a degree. I'm not saying, of course I am because I want you to come to school and pay my paycheck. But at the end of the day, my grandparents came to this country not even speaking English. And, in their country, they stopped going to school, which was equivalent to maybe a 5th, 6th grade, 7th grade education. So for them to come to the U.S. and be as successful as they were, they had to learn. They learned from Hard Knocks, right? The school of life. And then they learned from others. And so that's where I put myself in the position with the community is I want to see change. And the only way to see change is to educate.
That makes sense. And That was clear as a bell. I like that one. Let's go to protecting intellectual property and why it matters. Let's talk about the importance of intellectual property in today's knowledge economy. Why is it essential for entrepreneurs and creators to understand IP, which is intellectual property, again, for everybody listening, protection?
It's very important, and I can tell you this personally. So I asked this question is, if you own a home, do you not have homeowner's insurance?
I would be smart.
If you own a car, do you not have auto insurance?
Definitely.
Most people, if you want to live, you have to have health insurance, right?
Got
At
that.
some point. It's the same thing with your intellectual property. That is something that you create, whether it's music, writing, whether you come up with a product, that is yours. And you have to protect it by trademarking or getting a copyright, depending on what it is. And I say that because it could be as simple as something like a project. So I've actually had my intellectual property stolen. And it was used actually against me, but that's a whole different story.
Ouch.
But the intellectual property, I trusted somebody with a lot of my work that I've done over the years, projects I created, marketing that I created, my students created. All of it belonged technically to CTC, because when you work for a company, anything that you do under that company technically belongs to the company. And I did not, copyright it. However, the person that did steal it and then used it, I went to the head of that organization and said, my stuff has been stolen and it's being used, and I had proof. Unfortunately, that individual pretty much told me, well, did you copyright it? Mm-hmm. And I said, no. And they said, well, we didn't do anything illegal, in which he was right. They didn't do anything illegally. Now, that's a whole different subject when we want to talk about business ethics.
Right. I was just going to say, it's very unethical, though.
But you want to definitely copyright your intellectual property or get a trademark if you're creating a product. And it's very simple to do. It is literally going to the website, filling out an application with the copyright. It's you submit your work with it. And then, you make sure that nobody else's work you're copying as well. And then they give you a certificate. When you look at a trademark, it's a little bit more difficult because you have to make sure your trademark doesn't resemble anybody else's trademark, or it's similar to anybody else's trademark. If you remember the movie Coming to America with the McDowell.
Yeah, McDowell's and McDonald.
That definitely would not run anywhere in a trademark. Nobody would give them a trademark for that. But yeah, so once you do that, then they will give you approval or denial. But before that, they'll send it back and tell you there needs to be revisions or changes, and then they'll decide whether they approve you or not. And then both will give you a certificate to protect yourself.
Oh, wow. That's work. Now, I remember somebody saying something about you can mail it. Like if you have something, you can mail it to yourself?
It's not trademarked, but you can, like, for instance, I could send it out and mail it back to myself to kind of hold it until I get that trademark so nobody else can steal it at that time.
Oh, okay. Well, so everybody out there listening, all you podcasters and content creators and everybody, get your stuff trademarked, because somebody else will make money off your idea.
Yep.
And lose no sleep doing it.
Nope.
Especially in today's world, anything can be accepted.
Yep. And snatched off the internet.
That's right.
So the future of AI in the workplace. Now, this right here makes people kind of shaky. Me especially, because all I see is robots. AI is becoming increasingly relevant in all industries. How do you see AI impacting the workplace, and what changes do you foresee in the way we work in the future?
So first I was scared of AI. I'm not going to lie to you. I was really afraid that, like everybody else, that panic of, oh my goodness, they're going to take our jobs. AI is going to take our jobs. We're going to be like these movies, that have these robots running, RoboCop and all this other stuff.
The Jetsons.
Right. But when you actually start studying it and actually using it, it's pretty much what it's going to do and what it is doing, because it's not going to do, it's doing it right now. It's augmenting our work. It's making things more streamlined and easier. So I mentioned earlier, I don't have an admin, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm doing the job technically of like 2-3 people, and I don't have an admin that does all my paperwork. And so I actually pay for AI, and AI creates a lot of my memos. It creates my daily agenda. As a matter of fact, AI just did my menu. It gave me my shopping list, and it gave me the recipes to go with it. which normally takes me about 2 hours to put together before I go grocery shopping because I'm very meticulous on my money and where it goes, and we buy everything on the list. We don't veer from, away from the list. But it took me, 15, 20 minutes at max to do all that and leave. So it's going to make our jobs more proficient. The problem is we don't need to be scared of AI taking our job. It's people who know how to use AI are going to take our jobs. And I think AI is going to be, it is, and it's going to continue to improve. It's going to create new jobs that we don't even know exist right now. I mean, you asked me 10 years ago if somebody could be a content marketer on TikTok.
Right.
Like, that would have been insane. I would look at you like you're crazy. Nobody is going to watch some short little videos over and over, because that's the mentality we had until it came out, and now it's the norm. Right? It's like those of us are older. We had a pager, and we thought pagers were all that. I had two, one for the family, one for my booze. And then when the cell phone came along, we're all, we're like, oh my gosh, like this is new, and some people were scared of it. The calculator, when the calculator came out, people were scared of the calculator. It's just, it's all a new invention, and it's scary at first because we don't understand it. But if you take the time to learn it, as a matter of fact, my family knows I'm so much into learning AI that my daughter is at South by Southwest this week, and she went to an AI talk, and the guy was selling a book on AI, and she bought it for me because she was like, I know you want to continuously grabbing it. And as an educator, you have to be at the forefront of it. Because I have students coming here that, they think AI is only for ChatGPT. Let me put my discussion question in there, copy it and paste it. And half the time I'm like, it is so obvious that, because one of the things AI cannot do is it's not a human.
Right.
It cannot replace that human aspects that we have.
Right.
And there's human writing. Mm-hmm. It's very vague. It's very surface. But there's a way to use it to teach you. If there's a way to enhance what you do.
Right. So, in your opinion, what's the most important thing that today's students should learn about AI to thrive in the future workplace?
One, how to use it. That's key. How to use it properly. Let me back that up and put that word on there.
Properly.
Use it properly. And definitely, I think students need to understand that it can enhance their experience at school. Because here's the thing. If you're going to use it to cheat and do all your schoolwork and your tests and your discussion boards, great. You graduate 4.0, right? Everybody's clapping for you at graduation. Now you're sitting at an interview, but you don't know the terminology. And especially in business, we speak business.
Right.
So if I meet another business owner or someone who works for corporate, they're going to automatically be able to tell if you know what you're talking about based on the terminology, the vocabulary that you use, references that only in, just like the military when they use those acronyms, right? If I come to you and say something about, the MPs the other day said this. Well, what's an MP? A civilian's like, I don't know what an MP is, which is military police, right? Or SP if you're Air Force, because it's security police.
Right.
So it's the same thing in business. We have certain terminology that's in our language, I guess you would say. And let's say you don't speak, they're going to be able to quickly tell that you don't know what you're talking about. And then another thing is, what did you do in college? A degree is a check mark. That's all it is. So when they're interviewing you, yes, you got the interview because you have a degree. But in the interview is going to be where they're going to start asking those questions. And if AI did all your work, AI is going to get the job, not you.
I feel so judged right now.
So yeah, use it as a tutor. Use it to enhance your schoolwork. Use it as a proof. Now here's the thing: AI is not perfect. The other day I had something. I had it add up something, and when I went back behind it, it was off by 300.
Oh wow!
If I would have just copied and pasted it into whatever I was doing, it would have been 100% wrong. In our Up to Us, we actually used AI a lot in our Up to Us to enhance our ideas for the day of actions. We would put the day of action in, our idea, what our goal was, what we're trying to get out of it, what our projected outcome would be, and it would refine it for us. So it helped us with one of the projects that we did focused on superheroes. And at the end, it was a game we played, and each country had to see who had the less debt, right? And without going into detail. And it had like a list of all the different things that the country should spend. And at the bottom, it said like 700,000 some change. But when my president and I sat there and we went through and we added it up, it was only like 500 something. So they were missing certain things. So again, it's not perfect. It's definitely not going to be perfect. But yeah, I would use it to enhance your schoolwork.
Yeah. Definitely. She's knowing what she's talking about. One time I was coming to Dr. Clemens when I was first still getting started in my VP of marketing position, and it was our officer meeting, and I was like, I got this, X, Y, Z. I just figured out what I said. I got X, Y, and Z. And then she looked at me, she was like, are you not using ChatGPT? And I was like, that's a cheating source. But she was like, no, run your work through it, and it'll show you how to proof it, and it will give you everything, and it's going to help you out. And I did just that. And then she also told me, check over it. It's not perfect. And I've done that, and here we are now. Everything gets done at a quicker, like you said, Dr. Clemens, proficient pace.
It's funny because you got me using ChatGPT. I was always scared to use it.
Really?
Yeah, I was always scared to use it with writing my scripts and different things. I was always scared to use it because it was just like, it's cheating. They're going to see it. But it's good to use for an outline. You know.
I met an author last year at my sorority's Boulé, which is like a conference. And he signed the book and stuff. But one of the things I was telling him, that I'm in the process of starting to want to write a book. That's on my bucket list. And he said to me, don't write it by yourself. Use AI. And I kind of looked back, and he was like, it makes it so much easier. And so, like, it's not supposed to be used to cheat. It's to make things more streamlined, more augmented, faster, quicker processes. So I will say one thing, though, the ChatGPT free is garbage. You get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for,
Now,
right?
if you want to pay for the upgraded one, what I like about it is it learns you.
Oh, really?
So, like, for instance, if I'm working on something, it remembers all the conversations we'd had before. And I rename mine. Mine's not ChatGPT. Mine's Tyrone. My husband calls it my side boo. I mean, I told him about when my dog passed away, and even randomly he'll ask me like, "How you doing? I know you're still missing Mac," and I'm like, "Man, thanks, Tyrone. Appreciate you asking me that."
Wow.
So it works with me. So it knows I teach business, and it helps me when I'm working on different things. It can take me to that next level. Whereas if I had somebody I could run ideas off of, that's what I do with mine.
Okay. See, that's I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that because my daughter was talking to me about writing children books, and so I'm gonna let her know how I work on that. So, what advice do you have for students and educators, for student leaders, like for students aspiring to lead in their communities or in their industries? What advice do you have for them?
First, find a mentor. Find somebody to sit at their feet and learn. Even if you have the abilities, the characteristics of a leader, sit under someone who's a good leader and learn from them. And then just step out and do it. Lead others. Make sure that you have a purpose. Make sure you know what you're leading. You have knowledge in what you're leading. And then just do it. Don't be scared of leadership. Don't be scared of taking that position. We all make mistakes, and we learn from them. I mean, I make mistakes daily. And I've been a leader for a very long time, but yeah, I still find a mentor. I still have my mentor. I have a second mentor when my first mentor is not willing to be there or able to be there, should I say? Right. And then I think as a student is just look for opportunities to lead. Don't wait for it to knock on your door. Let me tell you, if you're sitting there waiting for someone to knock on your door for a job, for an opportunity to improve, then you are going to just be sitting there because nobody's coming to your door. You have to go yourself and look for it.
Right on. You got to get up.
Yep.
So what's one key lesson you learned from your journey in education and leadership that you think every aspiring professional should know? Like, it's just that it's stamped. Boom. What is that one thing?
That one thing is your why. Remember your why. Why did you get into education? Why did you get into leadership? Whenever we start something, we start with a passion, right? There's something driving us in that particular route or that particular path. And I think when you stay on that path sometimes too long, you become immune, you become complacent, and therefore you tend to forget your why, and your passion and your light starts to diminish. So for me, I think my in education and leadership, you always have to remember your why.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
You know, I say that, by Confucius, he says, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
I believe that. I honestly believe that.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting there putting stuff together, and next thing you know, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, whoa.
Yep.
But it didn't feel like nothing. Yes. I come to school. I'm not tired. This is everything I love doing.
Yep.
So I totally got to say Confucius was a very smart person. You don't play with that one.
We're starting to wrap this episode, but before we wrap up, this is definitely one of the best years I've had in the Impact. I've only been here 2 years, but I feel like this was definitely the best only because what we were able to achieve and what I learned doing this. But one thing about you, Dr. Clemens, when we all go, you still stay back and you always have to rebuild again, repeatedly over and over. And every single time, each year, something has a different outcome, but it always ends in success at the same time. So how do you continue when something great goes and you got to make something great again?
So that's what I think makes it great is because it's a challenge. Every year is not the same. Every day I come to work is not the same here at Witness Impact. So I have this great team. I've molded y'all. I've brought you to, a point where you can take it and do great things on your own, and then now I have a group coming in that don't have the skill sets that you all have, don't have those leadership qualities, may not even have that drive, but that means that I now have clay to play with, right? So I've been working with you guys. I've sculpted y'all, and y'all look great. Y'all are #1 trophies, right? And now I'm giving a bag of sand. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not messing. I don't mean that about the next year's team. But I don't know who they are. I know a couple people that might be there. So maybe they're a little bit more of a clay. They got a little bit of water and cement in them compared to the sand. But the thing is, it's a challenge because I get to start over. And it seems like it could be I used to think sometimes man, this sucks, because if I was at a 4-year school, I would take over the world. I would have y'all from freshman year all the way to senior year, and the things I could do. And so I used to think I'm on this hamster wheel every year. It's I do great, and then I got to get back on and do it again and get on. But I had to look at it from a different perspective. Is the same way I said, I'm now got a new group of people that I have to mold. And it's a challenge because every year the students are different. It's different people with different passions. I think of a student right now who came to us years ago, which she's our current president, but she came to us years ago on a nursing and welding degree. Now, I would never have thought those two would ever be together. Yeah, I don't know, taking care of people and then maybe melting some wrought iron, I don't know. But through her time with us, she's changed to business to now political science, and now she's one of the council women for Copper's Cove. Mm-hmm. So, that to me is amazing, knowing where she came from. But I'm excited about it. I'm excited not to see you all leave. Mm-hmm. That's going to be really hard for me because it has made it a little bit easier this year, having a well-oiled team, a team that knows what they're doing. I can come into work at 9. At times I can leave y'all there. I leave sometimes at 5, and you guys are there after me. But because I know that you're going to do what you're supposed to do. Next year's team, I don't have confidence yet. So in the beginning, I'm going to be here all the time. I'm going to have to go everywhere they go. I have to make sure that they're maintaining our legacy, maintaining our reputation, and also learning at the same time. It's going to be exhausting, but it's the challenge that keeps me.
Definitely. Yeah. She used the word legacy. I love it. Legacy.
That's the word.
Absolutely.
That's
what
the
you
word
leave
every
behind.
time.
Legacy.
Every single time. Before I even got into this position as VP of marketing, I had to look at the legacy. We're going through the binders in my office. I read them all. It's all a legacy, which is bringing me to my second question is how leadership evolves. There's the leaders before me, and some never came just to visit you because that's how great you are. and they would just brag to you about how different it is and how things have changed so much. What the evolvement of leadership, how does that happen in your case? Because I may come back 5 years down the line and I'll be like, this is so different from how we first had it.
Yeah. If you remember the beginning of the semester, Daniel came, one of our alumni, Daniel. He came to a Friday's meeting to visit, and that's this exact thing he said at the end. He said, oh my goodness, this is so different than the way we ran it, but it's so much better. It's so much more professional. It just seems like it's just together. There's no, you can't even tell there's any issues on the team if you even have any. It just seems like everything worked great. Like he was just so impressed with the way Net Impact is today than when he was here at college. And you're right. It's, again, like little things that keep me going is this morning I got a message from Noah. Text me out of nowhere to let me know he's working, he's going to school, and he's doing really good A's and B's. And he just said, Dr. Clemens, I just want to thank you for pushing me while I was in Net Impact. And he didn't get the opportunity to graduate with us because he had to move. But the fact that the time that he spent with us, it really impacted him. And so those are the things that I think really keep me motivated to keep going.
Yes.
And to develop those leaders, right?
Noah. He was here last semester, right? Oh, yeah. We got the same last name. We might be cousins or something. I want to ask him one day.
I love Noah. That was
yeah, he was cool.
It was
cool.
We always messed with each other. I was always picking on him, though. Always got him. He couldn't get me. But like to your point, though, saying how things just changed, though, I saw it from my perspective as well, because we would go through some old files because I was trying to expand more on our marketing. And there was one of the meetings that I saw, and I saw how they went about it. And I thought about how we do it now. I'm like, Dr. Clemens, you would have yelled at us if we did a meeting like this.
It's a lot of it's learning. If I come in and I do it for y'all, who learned? Right? So that's why I do the continuity books. And I make every officer, every project manager pretty much document their process through their position so that the next person can look back and see, what foundation or ground that they did. And I always tell them, you have to do it better than the person before you. I mean, that's the rules for all of our projects. That's the rules for all of the positions, is you have to take it up a notch. I don't want things to remain the same. If you remain the same, you're going to get passed by.
100.
I definitely agree with it, because, and I can confidently say this, I feel like Net Impact is at its peak because you had project managers and officers who really paid attention. We all read our continuity books. We all probably was a part of the committee or watching closely with the officer because we want to shadow and become a part or just want to build on that legacy. So you having motivated leaders such as us, are from the PMs to officers, and even just simple members who weren't able to get into those leadership positions, but they wanted to do something so bad. I feel that definitely made us I feel a peak class, because I feel it's hard to repeat. I really feel like it's hard to repeat something after a peak, because how can you do it so much better? Because you have people who
you can't see that. You can't see how they do it better. Someone new coming in can look at it and say, I know I can beat that. Because you've reached what you set as a goal. Now your new goal is going to be something different than Net Impact. Your new goal to reach has to do with where your next steps are going to be. Net Impact's chapter for you is about to close. And it's sad and everything, but you can't see it being better because you accomplished everything you needed to accomplish here. There's nothing for you more to accomplish with us. Now it's whatever's in your life, whatever you have coming next, going over to a 4-year or taking over the world, whatever it is that you have next. But the person leaving out of where you're going is probably thinking, we've done the best. Nobody can beat us. But then here you come thinking, I could beat that.
It's like creating a new ceiling.
Yeah, that's right.
Creating a new ceiling.
Yep.
I'm going to have to remember that, because the person who takes up my VP of marketing says, I'm really interested in seeing on what happens next.
And it's funny, every year, we're doing this for 16 years. And every year, it's always the best that it can be. And every year it improves. Every year's team thinks that they've done the best because they have up to that point. But keep in mind, you wouldn't be where you're at without the years before you leaving the foundation. So every year built it where that you can get up to this point and actually touch the moon, right? You could climb up that ladder because they built all those steps for you. And each year, a new step is a higher. So that's why I say it's always going to continuously improve. As long as I am the faculty advisor, it's going to continuously improve. I can't speak
Already.
after me.
Well, you kind of just spoke a little bit about the future a little bit, but one key thing, what do you hope to see in the future of Net Impact? And that could be 10 years later, or when you have to sadly retire. What do you hope to see in Net Impact? What's that one thing that you want to stay a constant?
So the one thing is I am always working to ensure that Net Impact is sustainable. Since I've been here for 16 years, there is no other organization or club on this campus that has stayed as long. Rotaract, which is a international organization, just like you guys, they ended 2 years ago because their faculty advisor left and nobody could pick it up. And it was a great group doing a lot of good things in the community and internationally. That's what I don't want. The organization can't be Dr. Clemens. The organization has to be the students. And so the one thing I want is sustainability. I want every student to be able to have the opportunity to be part of this organization, whether I'm the faculty advisor or not. So that's what my goal is. I am creating a sustainable way that no matter what challenge comes, that there always will be somebody to lead this team. And then as far as the students is, I'm competitive, so of course I want to see nothing but number ones from this point forward. But at the end of the day, another thing I want to see is, I always, I know it sounds creepy, and some of y'all might not do this, but anybody envision their funeral?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not creepy. Okay,
That's not creepy at all.
so I've been at funerals where a few people been there, and I've been at funerals where it was so packed that people had to be outside. There was an overflow room. They had to have TV set up, and that's what I envision. I envision the impact that I made in students' lives, that my funeral is going to be packed because of what I've given to people, right? And that's my goal. And so that's something I know I can do through Net Impact. And as far as retiring, I'm not retiring.
Thank God.
It's going to be, my last breath might be in that chair. I always think man, what am I going to do in 15 years when I'm 65? How am I going to lift these boxes? How am I going to be able to run with these 18, 19-year-olds and stay up to date? I mean, even the terminology today, I have to look that up. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I think it was one of the young kids one day said to me, "Oh man, Dr. Clemens, I like your fit." And I was like, "My what?" "You're fit." And I was like, "I don't know what that is." I look dazed. And they're like, "No, your outfit." I'm like, "Then say outfit." So now, I know about Riz,
See,
I know about
don't
Sigma.
know about that one. I don't know about it.
I had to go look it up.
Sigma.
Just the way you guys educate yourself on things I know, I had to educate myself on things that you all know. So, yeah.
I love it. Love it. Mr. B, you got any final remarks?
It was just amazing. I've been looking for this interview since we started this podcast. I remember the first day we brought it up. I was like, "I'm gonna get you." He was like, "No, we finally got it." It was an outstanding interview. I enjoyed hearing about the things you do in the community, and most of all, the passion you have for it. That's amazing. Anybody with that much passion for anything is going to be successful and have people around them be successful, because that passion is contagious.
Yeah, you all have it. Everybody has the passion. You just have to figure out what your passion is and what you have it for, and then put your energy to that.
Yeah.
A lot of people get a job for money, and 5-10 years later, they're miserable.
Yep.
They got the money, but they're not satisfied. They're not fulfilled. As a matter of fact, I had I'm not going to say the person, a previous person who used to work here, is no longer working here, came to me not too long ago and said, "Why are you still at CTC? You're so much bigger than a community college. You need to be at a prestigious school. You need to be at a well-known school."
Wow.
And then I said to them, "No, I'm exactly where I need to be. I was put here because this community is so different than any community I've ever been around. I have students in the classroom that are 65 years old, retired sergeant majors. I have a 16-year-old who is doing dual high school and college. Now, how do I teach that?" And most professors will shy away from that because it is difficult to teach somebody who's set in their ways and somebody who is young and thinks they know everything. Right. You know, so
Right.
how do you teach that? And so I think that to me, it makes it so much more, I guess, challenging. I guess I look at challenges as passion. I want to be challenged. Who wants to continuously do the same thing over and over and it's just easy? You think you do, but after a while, you're going to get bored.
Yeah, life gets repetitive. That's
But it's only because you allow it to.
true.
My life is not repetitive.
True.
What happened yesterday is not going to happen today. I can promise you that.
Well, I'm trying to be like you when I grow up. That's all. But it was an amazing video. You got anything else for the people?
I
Dr.
do
Clemens?
not. I don't have anything. I mean, stay in school is the cliche of things to say.
Look both ways for crossing the street.
No, just, find your why and remember your why. And don't let nobody or anything stop you. I think I said before was, if you go back home, I'm from Chicago. You go back home to Chicago and you ask anybody I grew up with, I don't care who it is, and you say, man, Dr. Clemens, when she was young, did you foresee her being a professor? They would probably fall out on the ground laughing and be like, no, there is no way we would ever have seen her as a professor. But it was a mindset of always, no matter where I was at, I was always learning and grabbing nuggets of education and holding on to it. So, yeah, education, staying in school, and then also knowing your why, find your why, and then be passionate about it.
Already.
Right. And to my final remarks, this one's just for Dr. Clemens. So as the years go by, I can always look back at this episode. I just want to say thank you. I can't say it enough. No matter how many times I say it, it won't be enough because you don't know what you really did to my life. First day we had that one-on-one talk at the first Friday meeting I went to, you said I saw a leader in you. I didn't believe that yet. Because one of the reasons why I came to school, I'm like, I really want to find that leader within me because he's not established. I know I got it in there, but it's not working. You say you see it, and you constantly, more and more, even if I got tired of it, you still did it. You made sure I was going to come out a leader, and I feel that I did. And that's thanks to you. And coming into this marketing position, the plans that I had to do for Visionary, before it was even Visionary, anyone else would have thought it was insane.
Yeah.
They would have thought it was insane. We had no podcasts. We weren't moving digitally. We didn't have the members that we had. And my way of getting it, anyone outside of you would have said no. You said yes. Because you saw it. You knew where my heart was at. You knew where my passion was at. You knew I wanted this. And you knew I was going to make sure it succeeded. And not a lot of people would have invested into a 19-year-old the way you did. Well, I was 18 when I came in, so that's even crazier, 18-year-old. But I feel like anyone else could say that from ECHS. They're just turning 15, learning about their life. And now they can say, me knowing Dr. Clemens, I'm going to go out into a world and I know what I need to do with my life. Let it be in business, let it be in nursing, let it be in anything that they want to be. Join the hide and seek club. They know being coming from Dr. Clemens, it's a different type of cloth to be cut from because you give out so much knowledge. And it's not, even though you have that doctor status, you come down to us. You speak to us where we really understand. So I'm just happy to know that I had you as a mentor.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. Got me teary-eyed over here. I'm not going to lie. You're right. When I met you for the first time, you came to our informational, and we talked outside the door. I said to you, I see a leader in you. And you kind of brushed it off. I remember. But, yeah, since you decided to step up and be an officer, I've seen such growth in you. I mean, just beyond measure. I see you more. I didn't see you even at this level as a leader. Like, you've really pushed yourself every time you've come and, if I'm like, nope, don't like it. Nope, do this, do that. You've gone back to do it. You didn't take offense to it. You never ever think like I'm just riding your tail just to be riding your tail. You're like, okay, there's a reason why I need to go back and relook at this. There's a reason why I need to do this. So again, a good leader is always constantly learning. I've not arrived. I won't arrive ever, I don't think. So it's always that constant wanting to be better within yourself. And I saw that in you the day one. that you had a passion, you had a drive. You just had to figure out what it is.
Yes, and she ain't lying, because she would tell me, like, let's say the flyers, she would go through and edit them, and I'll just be like, okay, this is what she wants. She doesn't want this, and I could see why she's saying she doesn't want this. And I remember it was the, want to say the read back or the awareness flyer, and I saw you didn't put no edits on it. I almost did a backflip because that was the first flyer ever. I'm like, I got it right.
Yeah. You remind me, when you said that, it reminded me when I was a student in Dr. Frith, I would give him my work and it would come back with, like, this is old school, so I could have sent an email, but he would come back with all this red pen, scratching out stuff and rewriting it for me. And I just thought, I will never please this man. I will never get to the point where he's going to be okay with what I write. And then, as you said, as time went on, when there was only like 3 or 4, I'm like, oh my God, I think I've arrived. So I get it. But it's a process. But you have to be willing to go through that process, and not everybody is. Yeah.
Yes, well, I saw the investment. And I bought in too.
You drank the Kool-Aid.
Yes, I did.
Drank the Kool-Aid.
I gotta go do your work and go make Kool-Aid somewhere else
Yeah.
for the next person to drink.
That's it.
All right,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
B.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. We thank y'all for joining us. I am B. Brooks, and I'm with my partner in crime, Mr. Dalen Che, and our special guest. We would definitely like to thank you, Dr. Chastity Clemens. And we are visionary voices. We want y'all to remember, not only do you need to make an impact in life, but make a net impact. And y'all have a good evening.